Hi, this is Logan from Logan's Run the Podcast, and you have found another one of my training tutorials. Today I'm going to be taking you through the steps of actually hosting a show for new people to Talkshoe. And what I have done is I have dialed into my show and I've created my training test room up at the top here. And we are logged in on Talkshoe Live Pro, which is one of the best ways of doing it. It is the most stable of all the different web browsers we have out there. And I've had a couple of friends call in. I have my main name here on the phone. But what you want to do is we have up at the top, you will always have the person who created the room. That is the host. You'll always have him at the very top, and you have a couple of icons up here. What you see here is this blue computer screen. This means that that person is actually logged into the computer, into the chat room. The icon next to it, the blue phone that's lit up, means that the person has actually dialed in. And I used my X-Lite to actually dial into the program. For a host of the show, you're going to see these 6 buttons up here that if you were not the host, you would not see these buttons available. But the buttons are, you can start the recording and terminate the recording, allow chat or block chat, and mute and unmute. So we're just going to quickly go through these and show you what the buttons will do. Now, if I were to start the show, you also have the different methods where you can actually use, let's put that out of the way for a moment. We're going to start the show here, and you can hear the recorded Talkshoe Live saying that the show is being recorded. And we want to hit yes, start recording. At this point, I would bring up my Via Motion, and I would actually insert my music for the show. We're not going to play the whole thing here. And at this point, as you can see up at the very top, the call is being recorded and it tells you the elapsed time for the show. What some of the different commands you now have is you have a command here where you can block or allow chat. Normally when a person calls into the room, I allow them to automatically be able to chat, and here we're going to use my friend the doctor. He's going to type in a message, and he typed in a message there that would appear to me, and I could reply to that right here itself. And let's try this here. There we are. So I can actually communicate with people back and forth in the chat room. Now you have 2 different means you can do. Sometimes there are people out there that like to come out and cause problems. They're called pod crashers. Just like anything in life, they like to cause disruptions. You have a means where you can, by pressing this button here, you can block all the people in the chat room from having any access to typing in the chat room. You can do it in a means of clicking the button up here, and that will block everyone in the chat room from communicating. Or you can go over here and click on the icon itself and just block out one specific person. In my case, I just blocked out the doctor so that the doctor cannot chat into the chat room. What happens here, as you can see, anything that he has posted as the host, you will see it crossed out here. But anyone in the chat room looking at it, they'll see the offending comments or the blocked comments completely removed. But let's unblock him. All you would do is you would go back over and click unblock, and he's now back. And any comments he had, any viewers would be able to see those comments replaced back onto the screen. You also have the same features as well for people calling in on the phone. As you can see, Logan right now is unmuted with the international do not enter Ghostbusters symbol here. What I can do is the same thing. This here will mute everyone. That's muting every person in the call except for the host. These commands never work on the host. But this here would mute everyone who has called in or unmute. And as you can see, he is now unmuted. What you can also do is you can do it individually. So we're going to mute him here. You can go over and say you had like 20 people on a call right now, and you wanted your 3 or 4 co-hosts who are muted at this time to be able to talk and get involved in the conversation. You can go over and select individual people and unmute them at the same time, just like that. And I'm going to keep Logan muted because that's be calling in on the phone to actually just give us a person to test with. But these are the different means you could do it. You can do it individually, just unclicking it or clicking it to mute or unmute the person. Or if you wanted to do it all at one time with everyone in the room, you could do it up here by unmute all or mute all. Now, some people have asked, what about host? There's one host, and that's the person who created the room. Now, if you have other co-hosts, they don't have the same features up at the top as everyone else does, as the host does. They have just a blank screen like all standard callers. Talkshoe, we've asked them if they can create a moderator function, and they're looking into maybe doing a co-host moderator function, but we have no word on that. Another thing you have over here is this is allowing guest participation. If someone decides that they don't want to call in or create an idea, they're out there experimenting, looking to see what Talkshoe is about, they can come in as a guest. And what you have here is you can allow guest participation or you can block it. A lot of people, if they don't know who they are, they block the guest participation. They allow the guest to listen, but they can't make a comment, chat in the room. I tend to allow people to do that myself because this might be someone who might be interested in getting into Talkshoe, learning more about it, but at the same time, here's their chance of coming out there and asking some questions and see if Talkshoe is for them. So these are the basic buttons up here. At the end here, when it comes time to end your show, you want to click this and it's going to come up with some options here. Stop recording, stop and terminate call, which would completely end out and close out the chat room, or cancel. I normally do stop recording, which when we do that, first I would actually, let's cancel for a second. To end the show, I would probably pop up here and use my music again just to close out the show. And this is a program called ViaMotion, which I do have a training tutorial on how to use that. At this point, I would end the show and stop the recording. This here physically stops the recording, but it leaves the room open in case you want to have an after show where people can chat and talk about how they felt the show went along. At this point here, you can press end the call and hit terminate, and it would be terminating the show. Now, Talkshoe has been glitching recently, and sometimes it isn't doing it on the first time through. And it may not do it on the first time here, which if that happens, and we'll see in just a moment. Yep, it didn't happen. You just go over, hit it again, go through the process, and it will actually shut out the show. As you can see, terminating the show, call has ended. And you can close out your chat room. At this point, it is now being processed by Talkshoe. This is our home page here with it. And we can come right down here, and you would see that if we were to refresh this right now, you would see that it is appearing here that our show is being processed, and it will soon appear here. Now, if you want to hide it so that you can do some editing, click on the options and you can go down to hide, click on that, and this show will be hidden until this show here will be hidden until you decide to go back in and show it again. No one would know that that show is there until you decide to show it. This way you can go out, you can download it, you can edit it, re-upload it with the upload button here, and then you can publish the show just by hitting the show button, and there it is there to appear. Sometimes it takes up to about half an hour to an hour for the processing to happen. It should be fairly quick that it will appear in there, especially for the size of that show, but it hasn't shown yet. But anyways, this is some very quick, simple instructions on how to use Talkshoe and how to host your own show. Once again, my name is Logan. You can find all of my training tutorial videos at logansrunthepodcast.com. Just follow the training link.